The Canadian trunk forward flexion test measures hamstring and lower back flexibility. Before testing, the participant should perform 5 to 10 minute aerobic warm-up followed by a few flexibility exercises. The shoes should be removed with the soles of the feet against the box, with the inner edges of the soles within 2 centimeters of the measuring scale. The participant should exhale, drop the head between the arms, and reach as far as possible, making sure not to use one lead hand. The knees should also not be bent, and the position should be held for 2 seconds while the score is recorded. The YMCA sit and reach test also measures hamstring and lower back flexibility. The shoes should also be removed, and a yardstick should be placed on the floor and taped down at the 15-inch mark. The yardstick is between the participant's legs, with the legs at right angles to the tape line. The heels of the feet should touch the edge of the tape line about 10 to 12 inches apart. The participant should exhale as they reach forward and hold for 2 seconds. Again, the fingers must touch the yardstick, and the participant should not lead with one hand. The knees should also be extended throughout the movement and not be bent. The chair sit and reach test is a valid test for hamstring flexibility for older populations, particularly men and women over the age of 60. A chair of 17 inches in height should be placed against the wall for stability. The client should sit on the front edge of the seat and extend the leg being tested in front of the hip, with the heel on the floor and the ankle dorsiflexed at approximately 90 degrees. The untested leg should be flat on the floor. The client should bend forward at the hip joint, keeping the spine and the head aligned, and exhaling as they bend forward. They should hold for 2 seconds while the second person holds the ruler and assists. The scoring should be done in inches. If a space is between the big toe and fingertips, it is a negative score. If the fingers go past the big toe, it is counted as a positive score. If they touch the toes, it's a score of 0. The Thomas test is a test for hip flexor flexibility. The participant should lie supine, and the participant should bring one leg, the contralateral one, in the direction of the chest. If the tested leg remains in contact with the floor, the hip flexors are flexible. If the tested leg rises, the hip flexors are inflexible. For my assessment, I was classified as flexible. Remember, for both the chair seat and reach test and the Thomas test, both legs should be tested. For the Canadian trunk forward flexion test, the score is the most distant point reached by the fingertips in centimeters. The best of 2 trials should be recorded. For my assessment, I reached 32 centimeters, which in this case would be classified as very good, according to the table shown above. The YMCA sit and reach test is also scored as the most distant point reached by the fingertips. However, instead of being measured in centimeters, it is measured in inches. Again, the best of 2 trials should be recorded. For my assessment, I reached 19 inches, which in my age category would be considered above average.